Thanks for joining us on the NBC Connecticut YouTube page. I'm Mike Heideck. We're doing Face the Facts here with Congressman John Larson. We appreciate your time this morning. The impeachment process, it has ramped up in a really, really big way this week in Washington. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, was on the call, we learned, with the Ukrainian president when President Trump asked to try to get information, opposition research on Joe Biden and his son Hunter. What did you think when you heard that, one, he was on the call, and two, where we are in the impeachment process?
Well, clearly the serious nature of this, it continues to get elevated every single day, and this only adds to that. There are specific statutes that deal with this, and so I think it only further complicates things for the president and the president's men, as the saying goes.
There has been a report in the Washington Post and some other outlets that, at the very least, the timing of Hunter Biden's appointment to a gas company in Ukraine and his investments in China were at least questionable timeline-wise regarding the vice president. Should that be looked into more, do you think? Are you satisfied with where it is?
Well, you know, the truth being known that that was 2 years after the event, so having looked at it before, but you know, there's bound to be information that's going to continue to spill out, and I think it's inevitable that in any case like this, there's always collateral damage. I think it's unfortunate for the vice president in this case, but there isn't a day that goes by that Trump doesn't tweet about it. This has been looked at before. I'm sure it will continue to be raised by the Republicans, and so from that perspective, I can't help but think that it's still going to be forward. But I think Biden can deal with it as he has in the past. What's
the likelihood of the impeachment articles being drafted and then having it go to the Senate?
Well, I think it all depends on the process that we follow. I think it has to be deliberate. I think it has to be focused. No one's above the law or beneath it, and everyone should be afforded due process, including all the people that come before us. I would not be surprised to see the witnesses that come before the committee Mirandaized, as the saying goes, you know, and I think that adds a different weight and a different focus. And hopefully we're going to be successful in getting people who come before a co-equal branch of government that has the designated responsibility and the only body that can, in fact, proceed with an impeachment inquiry.
Let's talk about Connecticut, defense contracting, and the F-35. You were instrumental in trying to make sure that those engines built for the F-35 were built here. How did that go, and where are we now?
This is great news for the state of Connecticut, great news for our supply chain. First, kudos to Joe Courtney, who's doing a great job on armed services, but back in 2011, we were able to name Pratt & Whitney as sole source on the production of the F-35 engine. And so to get a multi-lot production, which means over 300, probably I think it's around 332 engines will be built that have a 60-year life cycle. That is so vitally important to our manufacturing base, and as you know, Mike, also to the supply chain. The mom and pops that are really the backbone of the Connecticut economy. So this is nothing but good news. And when you add to that the third sub that Joe Courtney successfully got, this is going to be a state and region that's booming. We just have to make sure we're ramping up the workforce to fill the need.
And that's going to be the hardest part, because we've already talked about that they're starting to recruit in other states because they want skilled workers. There's a shortage of welders, is my understanding. So when you're building submarines, you need welders. You're building airplanes, you need welders. And there are other trade schools. There's the manufacturing pipeline that's helping, but these are a lot of jobs. How are we going to try to make sure that Connecticut kids are the ones leaving with these jobs?
Well, I know that Goodwin College in East Hartford and the president there, Mark Scheinberg, has done a great job in terms of ramping up people and getting them involved and offering incentives where you get the training and don't have to pay until you get a job. And then you're able to pay back what you were able to get trained and credentialed for. I think all these are the kinds of incentives and things that we have to do to make sure that we keep the eagle flying, as we like to say.
Do we have to have a cultural shift in schools? You and I were talking before we sat down today about we're always encouraging kids to go straight to a 4-year institution or a 2-year institution and a 4-year institution regarding college. That, in many cases, is not going to fill these jobs.
Well, as fathers, you know, we were both talking about this. You know, you always encourage your kids to go to college because I think, a knowledge-based economy is a good economy. But it's clear also that there are other ways to accumulate wealth other than a college education.
Right.
And especially the cost that people are accumulating to go to college, when a training and facilitating in a skill level that might interest them more could be more suited to them and adoptable. I think you're going to see more of that.
And suited to Connecticut as well.
Exactly.
Congressman John Larson, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Mike.
That'll do it for this section on our YouTube page. There's a lot more to click on. I'm Mike Heideck. This is Face the Facts.
This is Face the Facts with NBC Connecticut.